Hey, it's Chris, and in today's video, we're going to look at my new 2019 Acer Predator Helios 300. Over the past few months, my 2013 MacBook Air has been getting slow, and I mean real slow. It's really already been happening for the last year, but it's got to the point where I can't handle using it anymore. So I started doing some shopping, looking at laptops, and being a MacBook Air user, of course I looked at MacBooks, MacBook Pros, MacBook Airs, the 15 to 13 inch. And the problem I have with the 15 inch is they started over $2,000. I'm not paying that much for a laptop. I really wanted something that was 15 inch, but I thought, hey, I would look at the 13 inch MacBook Pros. I looked at those. They've just been updated. To get the base level one of those, it was just too much money, more than this laptop. So I'm not going to be getting a Mac. Let me look at the Windows side of things. Windows laptops have improved drastically since the last time that I owned one. That is especially true with gaming laptops. The last time I owned a gaming laptop was probably about 8 years ago, and honestly it looked like a stealth bomber. It was an amazing, fast machine, but generally if I needed to do anything that wasn't gaming, I would just grab my MacBook Air. Now, many years later since I owned that one, and I'll say this, gaming laptops have gotten significantly smaller. In fact, I would say the Helios 300 is about the size of what a normal laptop was about 10 years ago. A few years ago, everything was just red and red and red and black and red, and it was just ugly, hurt my eyes. Stay away from the gaming laptops. Well, now, instead of everything being red, 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 everything's now blue, blue, blue. So the logo, it looks like a gaming logo on the back of the laptop, and then the backlit keyboard is also blue. Thankfully, blue is a little less harsh on the eyes. And if you're not using the backlit keyboard, which honestly, if I'm not at home, I'm probably in a decently lit place, so I probably don't need it. But it does look like a gaming laptop, so if you take it out, it's not going to scream it too loud. The specs on this laptop is really where it shines. It has the 9th generation Intel Core i7-9750H 6-core processor, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1660 Ti with 6 gigabytes of memory, a 15.6 inch display, 1080p only though, but it's IPS, and the kicker here is 144 hertz, and it's 300 nit of brightness. 16 gigabytes of DDR4 memory, and a 256 gigabyte solid state hard drive, which I do wish was bigger, but that only takes up one slot, and it has an additional PCIe M2 slot available, and an additional hard drive bay available. So two slots here to upgrade the hard drive. When it comes to all those specs, there are other laptops, and some even a little cheaper than this one, that has a lot of those. But the one area they always cheap out on is the display. It won't be that bright. It's going to be slower refresh rates. And that's where this laptop has that 144 hertz display. And it's very bright. It looks nice. And the color accuracy is pretty good. So if you're trying to do some type of video editing, photo editing, it's good enough. So looking at the ports of the laptop, on the left side, you do have your lock here, so you can lock your laptop. And then as you move forward, you have your Ethernet port, 2 HDMI ports, and your headphone jack. If you flip it over to the right side, we do have a USB-C port, another USB port, a mini display port, and an HDMI port. Now you'll notice one thing is missing, and that is there's no SD card slot. If it had that, this would be for someone who is interested in doing some type of camera, video, photo, whatever editing, and being able to put an SD card slot in here would be amazing. So looking at the front of the laptop, you have the keyboard. So when it comes to the keyboard, this keyboard is, if I could use one word to describe it, I would say mushy. Doesn't feel bad. There are much worse keyboards out there, but it is not up to the Lenovo ThinkPad, but it's also not as bad as the MacBook keyboard. So it's good enough. It's good enough to type papers. It's good enough to get real work done. It's good enough to game. It's good enough. And that's also what I'd say about the trackpad too. So Windows trackpads years ago were garbage, terrible. A MacBook trackpad is still probably the best trackpad you can get, But if you want something that is, again, good enough to navigate when you're not using a mouse, because the reality is the type of work I'm going to be doing on this when I'm not gaming is going to be something I'm going to want a mouse for in the first place. So how does it actually play in the real world? So this is me playing Fortnite. I am terrible at Fortnite. I have the FPS counter up in the right up there by the map, and you can kind of get an idea of what the frames per second is. This is everything maxed out. So you can see I'm already dead. I'm terrible at this game. We'll just watch someone else play for just a second. And this is everything as high as it possibly would be at 1080p. So this is, you can see you're getting well over triple digits. Now whenever we get to Battlefield 5, so this is just the initial kind of playthrough of Battlefield 5. And there's also a FPS counter up there in the top right of that too. You can see there was a dip down as this explosion happens. But still we're getting close to 100 FPS in this game. And here's the tank level here at that opening. And again, extremely high frame rates on this with everything maxed into ultra on Battlefield 5. So who's this laptop for? Well, I think it could be for two possible groups. The first, it is a gaming laptop. So it's for those who want to get a lot of value for their money. This thing is going to check all the boxes: screen, processor, RAM, you name it. There's not going to be any area necessarily that you're skimping on. The other person that this is for is someone who wants to do some type of creative work where you're going to need a lot of horsepower in an affordable package. So this could be someone who's going to do Adobe Premiere, photo editing, and is going to want all that horsepower of that 6-core processor. There's also the display. The display is pretty accurate, especially at this price point. So you'll be able to do editing of your photos and videos and how they look and get a pretty good representation of how it's actually going to look. So the question is either one of those describe you? In my case, both of those describe me, which is why this laptop is exactly what I've been looking for. And that's the Acer Predator Helios 300, updated for 2019. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up down below. If you want to see more videos like this one, go ahead and click that subscribe button. If you have any questions, comments on the Helios 300, hit me up down in the comments below and I will get back to you, and I'll catch you in my next video.